evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee. It's May 28th, 2024, pretty close to 7 p.m. And we're going to begin as we typically do, and that's with a prayer and a pledge. Tonight we have the pleasure of having Pastor John McClendon from God-Wide Church joining us. John, we appreciate very much what you and your church do for our community.
Yeah, thank you. Let's pray. Lord, as the request was given about both foster care and also adoption, Lord, we do pray that you would not only, as that is highlighted here in the meeting, but that, Lord, you would highlight that in the hearts of families that could be able to allow every one of these children to be placed in a loving and supportive home. And Lord, that you would just allow us to continue to wave that banner high so that young people that need a loving home can find it. Lord, for all of us, as we just went through Memorial Day, and in many churches like mine, families stood to signify that they had lost a family member. In defense of our nation and our freedom and our democracy. And Lord, it reminds us of how precious that is. And Lord, on the local level, as all of our elected officials give direction to our city, Lord, that you would allow each of them to have your wisdom and your knowledge. You said that if anyone lacks it, we can just ask that you give it generously. And Lord, that every decision made would be great for our city and great for our citizens. And so we look for your leadership and your guidance and your direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Again, that's Pastor John McClendon from God-Wide Church. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Cadet Frost, could you come forward for us, please? Please join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept the agenda. I had a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Waters. Okay. Any discussion on that? We do need to remove the item C, proclamation. That's something we'll do another time. We don't have the person here that we had anticipated having here. I'll make that motion. Okay, I have a motion, a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of removing item C under presentations, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. We're back on the main motion of accepting the agenda that was provided to you on your packet. All those in favor of accepting the agenda as provided to you with that one change, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. We have everybody here except for Alderman Bergdorf, so we have 12 of us. And now we're going to move on to the proclamations for the Hendersonville High School Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. Sergeant Christopher Garza and Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Stone, if y'all could meet me right up here, I'd appreciate it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about these men and women here, and then he's going to tell you a little bit more. Whereas the Hendersonville High School Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps is focused on serving the community by setting a strong example of their integrity and leadership, while also representing their city and school with excellence through their achievements in academics, competition, and citizenship. And whereas the HHS MCJ ROTC drill team was honored to host the 3rd annual Middle Tennessee Navy and Marine Corps drill meet at the HHS campus, and whereas the Color Guard recently was able to perform in 40 different events, including the Nashville Predators game at Bridgestone Arena, and events with the Nashville Symphony, the Mont Haven Arts and Cultural Center, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and whereas both the Rifle team and Raider team performed their best season in the program's 24-year history, with the Rifle team finishing in the top 10 in the nation in their 5th consecutive year shooting in the Service National Marksmanship Championships, and the Raider team coming away with the 2023-24 Service National Championship title, and whereas the HHS MCJ ROTC program was also recognized on a national level by the Department of the Navy and the Marine Corps headquarters as a Naval Honors School, distinguishing HHS as having one of the best overall programs throughout the country for the 5th time in the last 6 years. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do encourage all citizens to join me in congratulating the Hendersonville High School Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps on their hard work, dedication, and their many, many, many recent achievements. So thank you all. Congratulations.
First, thank you to the board and thank you to Mayor. Obviously, the proclamation kind of covers everything, but what you see is some cadets here in different uniforms, and it's because some of them were on the rifle team. They had another top 10 finish in the country with the rifle team. Other ones are dressed up in like the fatigues, the utilities there, and that's the part of the group that was the national champions on our Raider team. And then the staff, the folks that are also in the Blues, those were the ones who were responsible for ensuring that we were Naval Honor School, like in the country, top 20% of the country again. So that's what they're for. And other than that, I just say thank you to the board for recognizing these cadets. They really have done a good job. This is a special group, and we don't always get to recognize them. So we appreciate what you guys are doing for us. Mayor, thank you.
So next up is Tiffany Kelly. So I read a proclamation about National Foster Care Month. Whereas National Foster Care Month began in 1988 to help bring focus to those working on providing a stable, supportive environment for youth in the foster care system, and whereas engaging youth, building support, strengthening opportunities is a 2024 theme, which is concentrated on equipping youth to leave care with strengthened relationships, proper support and opportunities, and emphasizes the importance of involving young people during their time in foster care to help them create successful outcomes as they begin their transition out of care. And whereas there are currently 8,991 youth in foster care in the state of Tennessee, that's probably actually changed, and 158 children in Sumner County, and whereas Tennessee Kids Belong aims to raise awareness and change outcomes for children in foster care by making all 95 counties foster-friendly communities, which is centered on family recruitment, community engagement, and being a coalition for change. And whereas Tennessee Kids Belong aims to accomplish these goals by helping enough families become trained and improved so as to reduce trauma by keeping kids in familiar places, creating safe spaces to reduce burnout of the nearly 50% of foster families who close their doors after less than a year, and to encourage corporate care and responsibility to reduce isolation felt by caregivers through the use of foster-friendly app. Now therefore I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, do hereby proclaim May 2024 National Foster Care Month, and I urge all our citizens to acknowledge foster parents, volunteers, child welfare professionals, and other members of the community who help children and youth in foster care find permanent homes and collections. And this is in connections. And this is Tiffany Kelly. I want her to tell you a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Clary. I'm Tiffany Kelly, and Tennessee Kids Belong exists to equip leaders like yourself to enhance the experience and change the outcomes for kids in foster care. We can't do it alone, though. And so tonight, many of the people sitting in this room are the reason why we can lock arms and say that our hope and our desire is to build a foster-friendly city, a foster-friendly state. And so if you would stand if you are a foster parent. Stand if you are a faith community serving foster families with wraparound, goods, services, support, or identify as a foster-friendly faith community in Sumner County. And if you are a foster-friendly business or a foster-friendly community partner serving families of any capacity, kinship, foster families, adoptive families that have adopted out of foster care, please stand. So as you can see, it is not one person or one agency doing the work. It is all of us. And so our goal as an organization and agency is to do it together. So our goal is to serve and to connect. And our hope is that we are changing the face of Sumner County. Right now, we have approximately 17 faith communities stepping in and leaning in, serving families of all variety in foster care, whether that is providing trauma training to their volunteers, to their staff, to receive children well and understand what does it mean to be trauma trained, and then also providing wraparound care, and then talking about foster care from an educated standpoint. We have businesses in the community, approximately about 15, that offer discounts on goods and services. Businesses like Cheerville, Puckett's, giving discounts to families that say, come eat here, let us serve you, let us understand that going from 2 kids at breakfast time to 6 in the evening, we know that that is challenging to do the recreational activities, to provide family meals. So we see you saying yes to the kids in this county and providing a space for that. So let us say yes to you so that you can keep saying yes to the kids that need you the most. So while we are grateful and thankful for those businesses, we need more. So we hope that you can encourage and use your platform and your voice to encourage others. So thank you again.
Thank you, Tiffany. Appreciate that. So next we have Kathy Pascal to present our May Beautification Awards from beautiful Hendersonville.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be here tonight, and Aldermen, good to see you. You know, we had a lot of nominations come in this month, which is very good, and I thank you all for sending them in, and please keep them coming. We actually have a winner, 6 winners, 1 in each ward, and a business winner this month, and it is summertime, so a lot of people were not able to join us tonight. They've got other things, ball games and such, but I would like to present to you the winners via slide, and also want to recognize Greg Yandell again, because he is so generous and faithful to give each winner their gift card from Ace Hardware, so thank you for that. So here we go. Our business winner this time is Wilson Bank and Trust Company, and they are on the corner there at Cherokee and Main Street. So that's 175 East Main Street, and they've done a beautiful job there. And Ward 1, this is and I don't believe she would mind me telling you, our 85-year-old lady that does her lawn work, and she's at 109 Shady Dale, and her name is Miss Earlene Chapman, and she was not feeling well today, so she can't be with us, but she does a beautiful job. Ward 2, we had 109 Sagamore Trace. That is Paul and Lee Aglin, and they've done a beautiful job there too. And Ward 3 is 200 Crestmont, and that's Mr. Gil Williams. And again, he's done a beautiful job there. Ward 4 is 632 Cumberland Hills Drive, and that's Thomas and Beth Warrington. And again, a beautiful job. And Ward 5 is Ms. Monique Wilson, and she's at 106 Knox Garden. And she was traveling in from Murfreesboro and was in hopes of being here, but you know how that traffic is, so she didn't make it. And Ward 6 at 104 Chippendale Drive, and that's John and Barbara Crawford, and they've done a great job there too. So again, we had a lot of nominations this month, but we need more. Please keep them coming, and you can send those to beautiful@hvilletn.tennessee.org. So thank you so
Hey,
much.
Kathy, if somebody's nominated somebody who didn't win, can they nominate them again?
Yes, they sure can.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Please
so
do.
much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So y'all, we're going to take about a 30-second break. There you go. We don't have any public hearings. Next, we have minutes. You were provided minutes from May 14th, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion? We have a motion. I don't get who made the motion. Alderman Peterson, a second from Alderman Garza. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes that were provided you in your packet, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes with one abstention. That's Alderman Sassy. Now we're at citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, that's me, not to the alderman, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. David Mooney, Cherry Grove Drive.
Well, good evening. David Mooney, 971 Cherry Grove Drive in Hendersonville. And I just want to say to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, thank you last month on the first reading of the resolution or ordinance for increasing the pay for our paramedics. I think it's vital to our city that we have the best emergency response possible, and we get that by having trained paramedics on all of our fire trucks eventually. That would be my goal, so that every firehouse has paramedics for every shift, and that we can continue to receive the great care that we get already from our fire department and police departments. Thank you.
Dave, thank you. Next we have Kay Higgs, Kensington Court.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kay Higgs from 109 Kensington Court. I want to say thank you to the City of Hendersonville for the funding that you all have provided over the many years for STARS, but wanted to share some more about the work that we do at STARS. So STARS has been providing services in Hendersonville since 1988, but most recently, talk in regards to school year 2023 through 24. STARS has served 15 schools in Sumner County. 6 schools has received funding over the years, but in Hendersonville funding, Beach High School, Hendersonville High School, Station Camp High School has received funding from the City of Hendersonville. We serve, though, in Hendersonville, Beach High School, Hendersonville High School, Merrill High School, T.W. Hunter, and Ellis Middle. So those are the schools that we serve within the city. Based on STAR staff reports, I want to share with you some data that we have gathered since the end of the school year. We've conducted classroom assemblies. We've done community prevention presentations, including Red Ribbon Week, Prom Promise activities, mental health awareness, Bullying Awareness Month, to name a few, which has reached 6,327 of our students. We've conducted 1,883 individual counseling sessions, 207 group counseling sessions, attended to 342 incidents. These are students that have been seen by the STARS counselor at least once. We've responded to 19 critical incidents, which are situations serious enough to warrant a call home to a parent, inform a principal, or contacting the SRO, or initiating a suicide protocol, etc. Any allegations of abuse or assault, suicidal or homicidal ideation, self-harming behavior, severe mental health crises. What does STARS provide? STARS provides multiple levels of prevention services to students, including universal prevention, which is aimed at whole school populations, selected services, which is for students exhibiting relatively greater risk in indicated services, targeting students already showing problems such as substance use, violence, or other emotional issues. In general, universal prevention activities emphasizes and establishes pro-social norms, education, and building student protective factors, engagement in school. The bulk of counselor efforts targeted students demonstrated higher risk for substance use, violence, and other social and emotional barriers to learning. Services for these students include individual and small group counseling using evidence-based curriculum, as well as linking these students with additional school and community-based services, et cetera, social services, mental health assessments, and treatment. So just wanted to give you all an oversight for those who may not be aware of the depth of the work that's being done in our Hendersonville schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Julie White, La Plaza Drive. There's a grammatical error right there. Does it matter? No. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Julie White, and I am privileged to be the CEO of the Senior Citizen Center here in town. Let me begin by saying thank you to the city for what you have always done to help the Senior Center thrive, and thrive we do. If you haven't been there lately, you need to come and pay us a visit because you would be shocked at what you see, I promise, pleasantly. We are very humbled by what you've always done to contribute to the well-being of our older population. I respectfully request that this continue. Hendersonville is growing, and I know that is not news to anybody that doesn't live under a rock. But with that growth, we get new families. With those new families, many of whom are younger, they bring the parent, the grandparent, sometimes the aunts and uncles follow. They move here to be closer to the family that left where they lived before. Just look at the number of senior resident communities like Clarendale, places like that, and the ones that are here and also the ones that are to come. To give you a little idea of that growth that we've experienced, we have experienced over 100 new members since July 1st of 2023. That has never happened in the history of our organization. And a few demographics that I got from the state, with race and ethnicity aside, within a 5-mile radius of Hendersonville live 16,762 persons over the age of 65. Our age is 50 plus, and that doesn't even take into account 50 to 65. That's 15.3% of the population of Hendersonville. That's a lot. I'd like to also point out that we are one of the oldest nonprofit help agencies, organizations outside of churches in our community. There are no other organizations that do what we do for seniors. We were established in 1986 to provide an atmosphere wherein older people can gather for a myriad of activities, meals, and fellowship in one setting where they feel safe, comfortable, and welcome. And to this day, we continue that rich heritage. I believe that this small amount of information that I gave you gives you a glimpse into what we do, what we stand for, and why we are here. Again, I thank you for your time, and I respectfully ask that you fund us. Thank you.
Julie, thank you. Melanie Head, Southburn Drive.
Hello, members of the board. It's an honor to speak to you today. My name's Melanie Head, and I am a 2016 Beach High School graduate. I would like to paint a picture for you today in our short time together. I imagine you're an incoming freshman in high school. You're not sure where you fit in or what the next 4 years will look like or what they will hold, but you know that the conventional clubs offered are not going to do it for you. So that was my mindset when I was coming into high school. But I found a safe haven in STARS during an extremely arduous time in my life. A time where my mother was diagnosed with cancer, my brother was deployed, and I needed additional support. And man, did I find it in STARS. During my time in STARS, I was able to grow into a mature young adult, helping other peers to do so as well. I was able to leave a monumentous impact on my high school that's still there today. And that was with the help of great mentors such as Alicia Giorgio and Eric Johnson with STARS. I was able to find the career path that I was always meant to have as a competent social worker. And most importantly, these lifelong connections that I was able to foster because of programs such as STARS being funded and here and existing has afforded me opportunities to continue to give back to a community and organization that gave me so much. It's my hope that during this time, the board is able to see the immense value that STARS offers the community and teenagers in high schools here. Thank you.
Mulaney, thank you. Christy Womack.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Christy Womack, and I'm one of the school counselors at Beach High School. I would like to speak to you all on the issue of decreasing funding for STARS program from the school counselor standpoint. A high school counselor wears many hats. We do scheduling of the student for the students. We do testing, 504s, college fairs, meeting with students about grades, emotional issues, and much more. Because myself and the fellow counselors have so many hats to wear and roles to play, we cannot devote adequate time to each day, an adequate amount of time each day on a daily basis. When a student is in crisis or having an emotional episode, they need a trusted adult to talk to and help them calm down. Because of many factors, including COVID, many teenagers are suffering from mental disorders than ever before. As a school counselor, I cannot have sessions with students on a regular basis. I can only comfort them in the moment and give them other resources and suggestions to help them overcome. This is where our STARS counselor comes in. She can see the students regularly as well as help students in crisis situations. Ms. Giorgio also leads prevention programs regarding bullying, making safe and good decisions, and character. The emotional well-being of our students is an important in their success at school. In fact, if a student has emotional needs or trauma, they typically are not able to be as successful at school. As you all know, we have been dealing with the disappearance of one of our students for most of this semester. Our STARS counselor and her colleagues have helped the faculty and students process and work through this unknown situation. The students have been better able to cope after talking with these counselors. Our STARS counselor is also a resource to help us as a school when we are coping with the death of students, as we have unfortunately had to do over the last few years. I hope that after I have spoken to you today, you will realize how valuable the STARS program is to our schools and how much benefit we have from our counselor being there. It takes a village to run a high school, and our STARS counselor is an important resource within our village, especially in times of crisis for individual students or the school as a whole. Our students at Beach and across the county will be better citizens, adults, and parents, and make an impact on the society because of the work of the STARS program. The former students that are here tonight are the perfect example of how the STARS program changes lives. Please take these factors into consideration when making your decision regarding funding the STARS program at Beach High School and HHS. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak to you all today about this valuable resource for our schools.
Christy, thank you. Abby Figuardo of Caldwell Drive, and I might have screwed up both of those or at least one of them.
Hello, my name is Abby Figueredo, and I am a junior at Beach High School. I've come before you today to be the voice representing hundreds of students in Sumner County. I would like to start off my time with a little background about how STARS has helped me. I first learned about STARS when I was in 6th grade, learning about the effects of drug and tobacco use. Through the amazing efforts of our students and demonstrators, I learned how important it is to be safe and to be conscious of how my actions can affect my future health. I knew then and there that I wanted to be a STARS leader. I've always been very passionate about mental health advocacy. I've seen what struggling can do to a person, and especially teenagers. Through STARS peer leadership, I and others like me are able to be a part of change at my school. What we are seeing inside of our schools right now is a silent epidemic of student struggles. As a peer leader, I am able to help break down that stigma of mental health and hopefully help students understand the importance of taking care of their future. I'd like now to highlight Beach High School's STAR coordinator, Ms. Giorgio, who has made this program possible at our school. She and the program she represents has positively impacted hundreds of lives throughout Sumner County. She is someone who is patient, has a heart of gold, and has been a safe harbor for many, like myself, in this county. For most high school students, balancing school, work, home, and social life can be very stressful. I, like many others, have had times where I can be overwhelmed with all these factors, but I always feel at ease once I sit down to talk to Ms. Giorgio, leading to, I feel, a wiser decision of lower stress. Diverting funds from STARS would affect Ms. Giorgio's efforts of helping our students creating a healthy future for us. Please recognize that the amount of funding provided by the county for this program has outsized the impact of young lives in this county. What you vote here today will determine whether more voices are amplified during times of need or if they will become diminished. Thank you for your time.
Abby, thank you. Norma Page, Albright Farms Drive.
All right. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me.
So are we. You're okay.
My name is Norma Jean, and I'm a former STARS peer leader. I graduated in 2018. When I heard about the meeting tonight to shed light on the importance of STARS and where the funding was being allocated, I thought I might be a great match to help you all see how impactful STARS truly is to students who want to make a difference in our schools. I began STARS my sophomore year at Beach High School, and it changed the entire trajectory of how my high school experience went. I am a twin, and by the grace of God, my twin and I are complete opposites, besides our looks. We lucked up on those. I used to be very shy and reserved when meeting new people, and she was an open book that is eager to speak to any and everyone. I was the one who kept my head down in a book somewhere while she was running around with her cool older class friends. I am a rule follower, a people pleaser, and an extreme empath, which has always affected my ability to make friends and made me feel quite differently than other kids my own age. When Miss Giorgio, our STARS counselor from Beach, told me about STARS, I thought that'll look great on my college applications. Sign me up. But little did I know it would actually change my life. For those of you who don't know what STARS is, it is an organization for schools that stands for Students Taking a Right Stand. This program encourages a drug, alcohol, and nicotine-free school culture and also discourages bullying while pushing for widespread inclusivity. As the child of 2 addicts, this program was basically built for me, a person who is 8 times more likely to fall into the cycle of drug and alcohol addiction handed down through generations. Through STARS, I learned how to use my voice to advocate against the use of drugs and alcohol to my peers and peers from surrounding schools, so that not only I wouldn't become a statistic, hopefully neither would they. I met people who were just like me, people who felt deeply about change and were just as set on making a difference in others' lives, whether that be in school or out of school. Without complete funding for STARS, it will lessen the impact the program truly has on students. If you are unfamiliar with Eric Johnson, the director of training for STARS, I sincerely suggest each and every one of you sit through a training just as we did as STARS peer leaders. He shows just how important STARS is and how it changes our schools for the better. I would have never known how impactful knowing someone's name who isn't generally seen by their peers can make them feel if it wasn't for STARS. Through STARS, I made it my mission to make kids who were considered different or didn't fit in feel valued. It felt empowering to know that a simple smile or a quick conversation in the hallways each day was truly something that could save a life and show others it was okay to do the same. Kindness, bravery, taking a chance to be different, and a passion to do the right thing truly makes a difference with the right training. I would have been the kid that kept her nose in a book my entire school time span if it wasn't for STARS, showing me that the things I felt made me weak, such as my big heart that sometimes feels a little too deeply, actually made me the perfect person to help change our world. I will forever be indebted to Ms. Giorgio, Eric Johnson, and our STARS peers leaders for giving me a safe place and the right training to turn my weaknesses into my strengths that have now become the greatest parts of my character. To allocate funds from the STARS program to the police academy would be a disservice to not only our school systems, but to our world as well, as the training we received or receive during STARS are skills many of us will use for the rest of our lives. Thank you for taking the time to be here to learn about STARS and how it affects our students and communities. As someone whose life has forever been changed from STARS, our STARS program, our counselor, and our director, I can only vouch for how much this program truly does benefit our young adults and even children.
Norma, thank you. Hadley Brown, Shell Road.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hadley Brown, and I live at 1725 Shell Road. I'm so excited to be here with you this evening. I'm also going to be singing the praises of the STARS program. I graduated from Beach High School in December of 2022, and I was a STARS peer leader for all 3.5 years of my high school experience. But my journey with STARS started when I was in 7th grade when Eric Johnson came to T.W. Hunter Middle School and did the first leadership training that I was a part of. You've heard a lot about how STARS gives students the opportunity to make a true impact in their community, and my story is absolutely no different. At the end of my sophomore year, I joined a group of 3 other girls that were the same age as me, and we went on a path towards having impact in our community that I could have never guessed. We started by receiving funding from United Healthcare to ultimately print 700 t-shirts that said, "Be a hero, drop vaping to zero," that were distributed across all of the high schools in Sumner County. And we created a video that even Mayor Clary was a part of, where local community leaders said, "I pledge to not vape." And this ultimately led to us becoming the National Youth Advocates of the Year for the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, where they sent us on a trip to Washington, D.C., where they hosted a gala in their honor. I don't know many programs that end up with students having a gala in Washington, D.C. in their honor, but STARS certainly did it for me and my friends. And if that doesn't speak magnitudes, then I don't know what else does. In the long-term impact of what we were able to do with the STARS program, Sumner County Schools adopted a universal tobacco and vaping policy where there's a lot of times gaps in the coverage of a policy that bans tobacco and vaping, but a universal policy says nothing, not even parking lots, not bleachers. There's absolutely no gaps in where students can take advantage of having the opportunity to vape or use tobacco on school grounds. And that was something that ultimately we were able to work with Ms. Giorgio to get adopted in Sumner County schools only a few years ago. Not only on the large-scale impact, but also STARS had a really strong impact on my day-to-day life. For example, both my older sister and I had an experience where we were talking with a student in class and something happened. The student had a breakdown. The student said something that led for cause for concern. And there was no doubt in either of our minds in these separate situations that we had somebody to talk to about it. Immediately, I was able to go to Ms. Giorgio's room and knock on the door and say, "Hey, this happened, and I don't know what to do about it, but can you help me?" And I would hate to think that there would ever be a world where a student has that experience, they see something happening, and they don't have that door to go knock on. And so today, I want you to remember that as you're voting, to remember to give every single student that door to knock on, no matter what. And for us, that's the STARS program. So we really, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Jim Stocks, Downing Court.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. My name is Jim Stocks. I live at 104 Downing Court. Excuse me. I'm here today to speak about Ordinance 2024-10 and the proposed transfer of the county to the county of Hendersonville's ownership of our library. Andrew Carnegie once said, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert." I believe that was true in Carnegie's day more than a century ago, and I believe it is still true in our time. And that's why I believe it is incumbent upon you, as our leaders here in Hendersonville, to ensure that our community's public library is safeguarded for our residents, for our children. I would therefore ask you to vote against this ordinance and keep our ownership interest in our city's library. But if you insist in using this as a way to cut city costs, I would ask you to, at a minimum, put in protections to safeguard our library under the new owners. However, Ordinance 2024-10 and the proposed property transfer as drafted have no such safeguards included. Instead, it gives away city property in order to save maintenance costs with no guarantees that the county will continue to use the property as a public library, no guarantees that services and funding will continue at the same or greater level. Instead, it's just a simple quitclaim deed saying, here you go, not our problem anymore. That is simply unacceptable. I ask you, what if the county commission decides the Hendersonville Library is just too expensive for the county, so they shut it down? Or what if the county commission decides to use our city's library as a political pawn? Do we want a repeat of the commission's fight between with the county mayor and the election commission, but this time using our library at the center of that fight? What happens when the county commission doesn't like a particular book they see in our library and decides to make a political statement by slashing funding for the library? Or what if they mistakenly believe the library staff was rude to a former child actor and decide to cut hours of operation or close the library entirely as a result? Well, as this ordinance is currently written, the answer to those questions is that Hendersonville loses its library, and there's not a darn thing we can do about it. You will have given up any remaining interest we have in the property and surrendered any remaining leverage to ensure that that doesn't happen. So I would ask you to look to the future and vote against this ordinance, or at the very least ensure protections are included in any transfer of this property to the county. I'm sure you and the city attorney can figure out how to do this. One possibility, for example, would be including a reverter clause in the deed that ensures that ownership of the property will revert back to the city should the county attempt to sell the property, stop using it as a library, cut funding or services below current levels, etc. However you do it, though, such protection of our library must be included. That is part of your duty as good stewards of our city, its resources, and the best interests of our residents. Failing to do so would give the county commission every ability to, in the words of Andrew Carnegie, dry up our city's never-failing spring. Please don't allow that under your watch. Thank you.
Jim, thank you. We have no items under consent agenda, and that allows us to move on to ordinance and resolutions. The first item we have is second and final reading of ordinance 2024-7, an ordinance amending Hendersonville Municipal Code Title 4, Chapter 3, Section 4-303, subsection 4, relative to increasing paramedic certification pay for public safety employees. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Garten. Maybe I got that mixed up. Okay, backwards there. Any discussion? You want to speak? Okay. Okay. All those in favor of ordinance 2024-07, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Now we're on the first reading of ordinance 2024-08. This is an ordinance of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, adopting an annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025. I need a motion, please. We have a motion from Alderman Sassy, a second from Alderman Robertson. I need to suggest an amendment. I'll make it if I need to. I need you to go to, and then I'd like to have a presentation from Tamara and Jesse before we get on any other discussion. But this one's sort of important that I feel like we need to dispense of first. If you go to page 14, at the very top, and on the caption of this, when we develop our budgets, we typically develop them with a tax rate. We can't do that this year, and this is why. It's because of the reappraisals that were done by the county. When that happens, the state lets us know what our tax rate has dropped back to. They haven't let us know that yet. So we can't adopt a tax rate. We will have to do that sometime in June or July when the state lets us know what that is. I'm sure several of y'all have gotten emails and have received comments from folks about how the reappraisals allows the city and the county to raise taxes. It does not, and that's what we're making sure doesn't happen here, is that, like I said, the state will let us know what our new tax rate is, significantly lower than what it currently is, but they haven't let us know yet. So my proposed amendment is if you look at the caption there where it says "and tax rate," cross that out. And the second part of my amendment is go to page 14, I'm sorry, page 20, that was on page 14, and cross out section 7 entirely, and then every section will move up one number. Section 7 says there is hereby levied a property tax of $0.9187 per $100 assessed value on all real and personal property. That is our current rate. That will be reduced by the state, but we don't know by how much yet. So my amendment is to cross out "and tax rate" on page 14 and eliminate section 7 on page 20, allowing every other section to move up by one number. I so move. Second. I have a second from Alderman Dixon. Can we, a couple people have lights lit up right now. Do we have any disagreement on this item that we're proposing? Okay, go ahead, Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So if the state does not come back to us, though, in time for this new budget to take effect, this is the tax rate that will hold firm anyways, right? Can we leave those in and then amend it after the fact once we receive that new tax rate?
No, the budget is actually just the dollar value that we're budgeting for. The tax rate, as long as we have the tax rate approved by the end of August to send out the tax bills, then that is adequate. But it would, if we set that at the 0.9187, that's assuming that's the rate we'll be having our tax rate set for the new assessed value.
I don't want to give anybody that impression.
Makes sense. Thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other discussion on this amendment? Okay. Any need for clarification? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. I know we have a couple other questions and a couple other comments, as well as possible an amendment or two. Tamara, can you come up and tell us sort of what's changed, and Jess is going to tell us what's different next year versus this year. So let's go ahead.
Do you want us to pull the presentation up because it has the changes listed on the first slide?
Totally up to y'all if y'all think that's, yeah, probably helpful.
Okay. It'll be short. So I just wanted to thank Tamara. First of all, she's done a great job putting this budget together. A couple things that are in this budget that we did not have in last year's budget is one is we have fund balance and reserve balances tabled so you can see those, so it gives you a broader picture of the financial perspective of the city. And second, after the budget was adopted, we used to go back and we do a personnel summary. Well, we've included that in the budget, so at the end of the budget, it's got a personnel list. It has the salary tables, and we've also included the salary tables. We've shown how they're going to be updated from eliminating one step. So I'll let Tamara get into the details, but that makes the budget a little more transparent, and so it'll all be posted online when it gets approved, so we can access it online too. But I'll let Tamara get into the details on the budget.
So since the budget workshop, there's been just a handful of changes to the budget document that's in front of you. It's the same changes we went over in Finance Committee a couple of weeks ago. So we added $25,000. That's for a new project at Fire Station number 3 for some foundation repairs to that building. We also added an additional $67,000 for health benefits for the increased health benefit cost compared to what you saw the last time. We adjusted the amount that was in the budget packet for Rock Castle from $35,000 down to the $30,000 that was recommended by the nonprofit committee. That was a clerical error that was corrected. And then we also removed the $12,500 that was in there for beautiful Hendersonville for the electrical, for the pumps and the reeds along the bridge. They have quotes for that work that we'll be able to issue a purchase order in the current fiscal year, so we don't need to rebudget that next year.
Okay, so you'll see that we've got a budget surplus, 100 and how much, Tamara?
Right here. Yeah, there's a budget surplus of just under $105,000.
So I've told this story a couple times, is in 2018 budget that I proposed had a $400,000 surplus. The Board of Maine Aldermen spent $800,000 of that. I don't want to get in a situation when we see a surplus and think, okay, that's money that we could appropriate to different things. This is the reason we have that surplus and the reason that it's been so important that Jesse and Tamara make sure that we have that. One is, I promised y'all a couple months ago that we'd have at least a $58,000 surplus because we spent some money that was going to be spent for next year. We went ahead and spent it this year for lights at the lacrosse fields. Is that right, lacrosse fields? Rugby, thank you, okay. And I promised you that if we're going to take money out of the current year's budget, that we would make sure that we had that $58,000 surplus. We also are going to have an amendment in 2 weeks about paramedic pay. We just approved second reading of paramedic pay, and so now we have to fund that. So that's going to be an additional $19,000. We also have the possibility, the likelihood, that we will have updated additional expenses for some studies and for some consultations about our impact fees. That will need to go into next year's budget. We're not sure what those are going to be right now. So, and we also have the possibility, I'm still looking for ways to increase the cost of living allowance for our employees. So, if you see a $104,000 surplus up there, please understand that it's not really a $104,000 surplus. That all of that, if not more of that, is going to be designated in the next couple weeks. So, I appreciate that, Tamara. Thank you.
Do you want me to continue on? Okay.
Okay.
So as Mayor mentioned, there's about $104,000 surplus on our operational budget. Just a reminder, the budget is considered to be structurally balanced when our recurring revenues are sufficient to pay for the recurring expenditures. That's our operational budget. On our non-operational budget, it is very common to have a deficit position on there where our expenditures exceed the revenues on that. What we see here for fiscal year 25 budget is very similar to what was approved for the current fiscal year. Combined, there's a total use of fund balance of $2.4 million. That doesn't actually mean that we'll spend that much next year. A lot of these projects, we have to have them fully funded so that we can issue contracts for them, but the work and the expenditure actually happens over 2 or more years. But we have to have all of that money appropriated so that we're able to issue those contracts and do those construct those larger projects. We've looked at this before, the general fund, the fund balance summary. On here, as a reminder, the first line item on there, those non-spendable prepaid items, those are for items we have prepaid postage, insurance, some subscriptions for IT that are prepaid. We pay for them ahead of time and we have to hold that money aside. The restricted, the second line on there, the restricted fund balance, those are for items such as the fund bank, and then we have the per lot fees that we collect for the subdivisions like Durham Farms, et cetera, that we hold in reserve to be used in those areas at a later date when necessary. And then the committed funds, those are some sponsorships, the Learn Not to Burn, some performance bonds that we have held. Those are in that committed category. And then our assigned category, those are for the other post-employment benefits. We have to hold a specific amount aside to be able to fund those retiree benefits. And then that also is the encumbrances for all of our purchase orders that transition from one year to the next. Those are held in the assigned status. I'm going to skip over the rainy day infrastructure and public safety reserve, come back to those in just a moment because I want to talk about the unassigned fund balance first. It's very important information. The comptroller's recommendation is that you have an unassigned fund balance that's equal to 16.67% of your operating budget, which for fiscal year 25 is just under $10.4 million. As you can see, we have just under $24 million in our unassigned fund balance, which is more than double what is the recommendation. It's a very healthy financial position that the city is in with this budget. And then, for the ending of the current fiscal year 24, it is anticipated that our revenues will exceed the expenditures by roughly $3 million. You will note that your unassigned fund balance from fiscal year 23 to 24 ending is remaining the same. The reason for that is that $3 million difference between the revenues and the expenditures are all going into those reserves to save for a later date. The rainy day reserve is estimated at the end of this year to increase about $600,000 and bringing it up to $2.5 million. That's about 21% of the goal, the target that was set when the reserve policy was approved. The infrastructure reserve is estimated to increase at the end of this year about $1.5 million, bringing it up to $3.6 million. That is hitting about 26% of what that target was that was set when that policy was approved. And then the public safety reserve is increasing by about $900,000, bringing it up to $1.3 million. 1.4 million. Sorry, I can't see that far. And that's hitting roughly 25% of the target that was set when the fund balance policy was approved. Really, this is a really good picture to see that the city is very healthy financially. The general fund operating revenues, this is exactly what you saw in the second budget workshop. Nothing has changed on those. I do want to note that the combined total for your property taxes and sales tax combined equals roughly 82% of our revenues. So that, and this is a good pictorial on here, the significance of the property taxes and sales tax. That's both state and local share of our sales tax. Operating department summaries. All of our operating departments that have staff in them, so that excludes the disposal fund and the debt services and community contributions, they have all increased. And that's because we added an additional $67,000 for the funding of our health benefits for employees. So those have changed a little bit from what you saw in the budget workshop. And again, you'll notice that roughly 52% of our operating budget is for public safety. Talking a little bit about the salary and benefit information that's in here. This is the same information you saw at the workshop. The graph on the left shows what an example of what one of the salary tables will look like with the elimination of step 1, making our current step 2 become the new step 1 and going from an 18-step to a 17-step pay scale. There are no new positions in this budget. We are budgeting to do the 2.5% merit increase for all eligible employees, and then also a 3% cost of living adjustment. And the health benefits have increased 18% compared to the current fiscal year. And then just a quick look at the graphical depiction that shows where the salary and benefits are spent. Public safety is a huge portion of that. Almost 75% of the salary and benefits are in the public safety. One more look at the debt overview here. From current fiscal year FY24 to the budget year next year, debt's being reduced by roughly $2 million. That's really nice to see. A new picture that y'all have not seen yet, we put together a graphical depiction from the prior few years and then going out to fiscal year 33, which is when our last debt payment, if no new debt were to be issued, would fall off. So as you can see, we're trending. Fiscal year 25, our budget year, is almost right in the middle of the screen here. We are definitely have a nice little skateboard ramp there showing our debt going down. A quick summary on our special revenue funds. Just want to note all of these are ending, estimated budgeted to end with a positive fund balance. Both State Street Aid and Stormwater Fund are both utilizing some accumulated fund balance from prior years. We want to make sure we're spending those monies on the appropriate eligible items. Sometimes we have to save a little bit so that we can do a larger project. And so we are definitely doing that. And then they're all ending with a positive fund balance. And then just a moment to talk about our new public safety infrastructure paving and parks, or parks and paving fund. Because this one is new, I did do a little bit more detail on here than the others. the way this is budgeted, we're estimated to end the fiscal year positive about $61,000. And then you can just see the summary of the 4 categories that this fund is intended to fund. And
So I've got three, thank you, Tamara. I have 3 people in the queue. And I don't think I turned off anybody's light here. Alderman Collins, I think you need to, Jesse, did you want to add anything? Okay, thank you. Alderman Collins.
Mayor Clary, I heard your comment about waiting to make the amendment for the increased paramedic pay until the second reading, but I was planning to do that tonight. Why would we wait?
For that one, it doesn't really make sense to wait. I mean, I think it's, you know, evenly appropriate to make it either now or 2 weeks from now. Do we have a number?
19,200. I know what page it's on and everything.
Okay. How can I say no? What page is it on?
It's page 59, line 6, supplemental pay. So I move that do other people have questions, and should I wait for amendment?
I mean, I think this is pretty easy.
Sassy.
We pretty much have to.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So 59. What line is it?
On page 59,
Okay.
it's line 6.
Okay.
I move that we add 19,200 to that.
So we're going from 98,400 to 117,600? No.
I
Other
didn't
way.
actually do the math.
yeah, from the 104,000 down to 85,000 surplus.
I'm on the wrong. Hold up, page 59,
Oh, you're talking on page 59.
line 6, correct?
Yes,
Debbie?
which is supplemental pay.
Okay.
So I'd like to change that.
Or Tamara's at the wrong place.
No, that's the right place.
So we're adding 19,000 what?
200,
Okay. I think that comes to 117,600.
yes.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
would like to make that amendment that we changed page 59, line
Okay.
6, supplemental pay in column FY 2025 budget to 19,600, I'm sorry, 117,600.
Okay. Any concerns from Tamara or Jesse? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second from Alderman Goodwin. Alderman Collins, anything else you want to?
I have something next, but
Oh, really?
a different topic, yes.
Okay.
I really
Do you want to
don't
deal
know.
with this
Yes,
change?
please.
Okay, so, okay. So I've got Alderman Sassy, Alderman Robertson with their lights on. Do you want to talk about this? Yeah. Okay. Alderman Sassy, go ahead.
So will this take effect July 1st then? The new supplemental pay, or will this, if we add this, because I believe we just voted it, right? So does that mean it takes effect immediately, and so we need to, I guess what I'm wondering is, there's pay for the remainder of this fiscal year, right? And then this is just for next fiscal year?
In the last meeting, we amended the paramedic pay ordinance to make it effective for this fiscal year budget, July 1. As we
Perfect.
talked about that in the,
I was not here for that meeting, so thank you for that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Alderman Sassy, anything else? Alderman Robertson on this amendment?
Not on this amendment.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this amendment? Okay, so what we're doing, if you go to page 59, look on line 6, go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, change that $98,400 to $117,600. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. I'll go back to Alderman Collins.
thank you for that, and I appreciate your support, everyone's support on the ordinance to increase the paramedic pay as well. And after hearing from the STARS representatives, I'm not comfortable with the cuts that we made there. Previously, we funded Beach High School at 12,000. We've reduced that in the proposal to 9. And I'm on page 35. I'm on page 35. And then Hendersonville High School, the same thing. It was previously at 12,000 and we reduced that to 9,000. I move that we increase both of those back to the $12,000 mark, which is page 35, line 6 and 18.
So 6 on column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to go from 9,000 to what?
12.
12. And then line
18.
is going to go from 9,000 to 12.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Station camp, we didn't change. We gave them the same funding that we gave them the previous year.
Hold on. Alderman Dixon, go ahead.
We made all 3 schools the same amount. That was the goal that we were trying to do, to not give one any more money than the other.
What line is station camp on? Help me out, please. That's sort of problem. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Alderman Collins, Alderman Dixon, a second. Alderman Collins, anything else?
No.
We're going to go to discussion on this. Alderman Dixon, do you want to speak on this? Okay. Alderman Robertson on this? I'm going to come back to you in just a minute, okay? Once we take care of this. Alderman Sassy on this item? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Collins, are you requesting that all 3 then be increased to 12,000 here? Or just the 2 who had the 12 and leave the other one at 9?
Well, I would certainly be open to discussing increasing station camps, but my aim is just to give them what we gave them last year so that they're not reduced. So no, I wasn't proposing that we alter station camps at this time, but if you want to amend the amendment, we can start that cycle.
Well, I have another question. So that would equal a $6,000 increase. Do you have any recommendations on how we could reappropriate these other lines to account for that, or are we just going to take that from the positive balance?
I think we can afford to, even if it reduces our general fund, which is healthy by millions of dollars, I think we can afford it more than the program can, for sure. I don't have a plan for where to pull the money from, so I know Mayor Clary just cautioned us against spending that surplus, that it's not real, but it's $6,000 and I'm comfortable with that. Just reducing the surplus.
Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I totally understand the importance of this program in our schools, and I appreciate all 3 schools asking the city for money. However, we don't have any money. I would like to ask that the stars go to the county and have the county increase the funding for stars. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson. Any other discussion on this item? Alderman Peterson, go ahead. Alderman Robertson.
Yeah. Do other municipals or the county government fund stars? And maybe that would be a question for someone representing stars. I mean, are we the only game in town?
So if somebody would like to answer that, you have no obligation to that. If somebody would like to, step up to the podium, introduce yourself, and we'll suspend the rules. So without any objection, we'll suspend the rules to answer that question. If somebody would like to, nobody has an obligation to do that. Thank you. Please introduce yourself. Hold on one second. Jason will do a roll call vote.
I'm Roger Dinwiddie. I'm CEO of STARS. We're headquartered in Nashville, but we obviously have services in 11 Middle Tennessee areas. And to the question about counties, we do receive money from multiple counties. As a matter of fact, about 70% of our budget is around $14 million. About 70% of our budget comes from local distribution of county revenues, and Sumner County does give us money for the services that work in the 15 schools that were mentioned earlier in the area. From municipalities, we have received money from the city of Gallatin. We do not right now, but we have. And then we also received money from Metro government, from Davidson County government, and from the city of, from Wilson County, and from the city of Mount Juliet. To my knowledge, we do not have money right now from Mount Juliet, but we have in the past.
Roger,
I don't know
you.
if I answered the question.
So, may I ask questions?
Sure. He has no obligation to answer them. Go ahead.
And these questions may have been asked in finance, and if they are, I'm sorry to be redundant. But what is the percentage of contribution that goes for actual benefits compared to administrative cost?
Our administrative costs are less than 18%.
18%. So if we increase the money here, 18% of that money is going to administrative cost?
Those monies go directly to Hendersonville High School and to Beach High School. So they pay for the services of our staff person there. Fully funded the staff, directly to the staff person. That money does not, we don't take an administrative hit on that money.
So in Sumner County, Gallatin does not contribute.
Not right now.
What about the Sumner County Commission? Do they contribute toward the STARS program?
Man, I can't answer that right now.
Does anyone know that here from STARS?
They approve the money for the county's appropriation to us that's required, for local monies that support us, for grant fundings. There are grant dollars that the county receives for STARS services, and for a variety of nonprofit services that they contract with. So they do have to approve it, but to my knowledge, right now, all money is directly coming from the school system.
From the schools. So, okay, so how much money does the school system give to Beach High School and Hendersonville High School and Station Camp, if you know it?
I do not have those numbers off the top of the head. I'm happy to get them for you.
I'd like to have those numbers, so
Sure.
I would request the sponsor to delay that till we get some more information. I want to make an informed decision.
Sure.
So I'd like to know, what the other systems, or what the school, the Sumner County Board of Education, how much they contribute toward the STARS program.
I can tell you that the total contract for STARS services in the county, but your question, I make sure I heard your question correctly. For Hendersonville, Beach, and Station Camp, was that the question specifically?
Well, that's what we're being asked to
Right, I just wanna
increase
make sure I
the
knew.
allocation, the appropriation.
Their monies would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50,000
per school?
per site.
Per site.
Per site.
And that goes for administrative cost?
Correct, absolutely.
18% of that goes for administrative cost.
That would be correct, which is, by the way, way lower than many nonprofits in this community.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do.
Okay, well, good. Well, 50,000, they give 50,000, the school system gives 50,000. What's their budget? What's STAR's budget for each individual school? Is it based on the numbers?
Based on personnel and the experience of the personnel that are in the building, levels of service, master's level, bachelor's level, years of experience with STARS, and then also other costs that go along with just running the program, specifically at money for Hendersonville Station Camp and for Beach goes directly to the schools for monies that they also use for their services at the building level.
But you don't know what the budget is for each of the schools, the Beach, Hendersonville. You know what the STARS budget is for those schools?
I think it's somewhere around 60,000, probably in that neighborhood there.
Okay, and 50 comes from the system, so.
50 comes from the system, and then we raise money. United Way gives us money, private philanthropic donations, as well as the money from you guys as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Let's see, Alderman Garten.
I think some of Eddie's questions may be answered if we could pull their application. Can Tamara do that?
Tamara, do you?
have their applications up.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we see those?
Do you have the
please?
whole budget?
I have the application for funding for all three schools.
Okay.
We probably
I think
can't
that
get it
would
on the
help.
screen, but I bet you Tamara can tell us. We can get it on the screen.
I can get it on the screen. Just
Awesome.
Jason giving you the thumbs up.
He's looking at me like you don't know what you're talking about.
Am I good to?
So I was right.
Am I
Yeah.
good to plug in?
Okay. So 65, 100, okay.
I'll stay here.
We did. We just wanted it to be the same station.
Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. This is the application that was submitted for Beach High School. And these are the revenues that they put on the request. So 42,000 from the Board of Education, 3,000 from United Way, and then some other private contributions of just over 7,000. So that's Beach High School, and then this is how they anticipate the expenses.
So does Gallatin support STARS at Gallatin High School?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta come up there. You can-
My apologies. No, the answer was no.
Zilch.
From the city of Gallatin, correct. This year, they do not. They have in the past, they are not right now, to my knowledge, but I haven't heard anything definitively yet.
I have a
Hold on. Alderman Collins.
I'm not sure if this is accurate at all, but I have this vague memory that the money that the city of Hendersonville donates is used to get us an extra day of having a counselor in these schools beyond what they are in Gallatin. So that, as was elegantly put, if you need to knock on the door, there's somebody behind it. Do you know if is that accurate?
The money that Hendersonville, the city of Hendersonville gives to support the services at Beach and at Hendersonville High School is directly related to the days of service that we provide in the building. That is correct, yes. And my apologies for the 50,000, it's 42.5 per site in Sumner County.
Do you know how the days that you have a counselor on site compares for these schools compared to Gallatin, for example, or?
They are the same number of days per site, 5 days a week per site.
Okay.
So let's back up. Tamara, can you show us the other two schools to help answer a question from a minute ago? Thank you.
Absolutely. So that is Beach High School. Hendersonville High School looks
Very similar.
pretty much identical. And then the same thing on the estimated expenses. It looks almost identical to Beach High School. Station Camp is a little bit less. Their request was 9,000, not the 12,000 that the others two requested.
So Alderman Robertson and, Alderman Robertson, any questions for Tamara on this?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Garten, any questions for Tamara on this?
No.
Okay. So Alderman Dixon, you're next, go ahead.
I just wanted to share with the board that when we had this discussion about these three schools, STARS program and nonprofit, the nonprofit committee, our goal was to evenly divvy instead of having one school more than the other two. So we made them 9 apiece.
Alderman Dixon, thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Being on the nonprofit committee, it was discussed heavily on this particular project. And I think the committee, which was made up of more than just one person, I think we looked at it, we made the adjustments accordingly, and I don't understand why we have to concentrate on one when we got several that we did the same thing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Waters. So there was a request to put this off for 2 weeks. Does anybody want to respond to that? No, they have not. It was just a request.
I'll move to defer this You know, this is some new information. And we still have a second reading that we can address this. I'd like to do a little more investigation and look at, you know, it may not sound like a lot of money, but you know, we're charged with really guarding the purse strings of the city. And, you know, my advice to STARS would be for you to show up to the City of Gallatin's budget committee. You know, I mean, let's share this responsibility. So my urging would be go to Gallatin, go to White House, you know, and I mean, we're not withdrawing our support, and I may at the end of the day vote to increase it, but I would like a little more time to look at it and to try to examine the impact of the budget. So I recommend to postpone it until second reading.
So we have a motion to defer this until second reading. Alderman Dixon, you seem to be seconding that. So a motion to deferral. Any discussion on that? So Alderman Dixon, you actually made the second
I know I did.
on the motion.
So I can't second this one.
Well, no, you can, but what you could also do is you could withdraw your second.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, so right now we have a motion that has been made by Alderman Collins to increase 2 lines that doesn't have a second. It sort of makes it cleaner if we just didn't get a second. Alderman Collins, you are welcome to speak and try to get a second. Go ahead.
I just want to say that we have a 1,000-foot view of our budget, and we're dealing with millions and millions of dollars. And sometimes it's easy for us to forget the impact that even small amounts of money have on real people that live here in our community. And waiting until the next reading of the budget is acceptable to me. Everybody can give it some more time, but I'd like you to think about the impact that this has on real people that live here and their lives. I mean, we heard that from our first citizen comments that there were, 19 critical incidents that they responded to in Hendersonville with students, and we heard what that means, potentially suicide issues. The SRO officer needed to be involved. It's serious. So moving forward with the lack of a second for tonight is fine, but I just want everybody to ruminate on that until we have our second reading. Thank you.
Alderman Collins, you withdrawing your motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Oh, okay. Tamara, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. You know,
Alderman Robertson, hold on one second.
Okay.
No, she withdrew it. So what should we do, Jason? Hold on here. I'm not sure.
No, I unplugged my laptop. I think it, I
We
think
should-
it confused.
I don't know where we are voting-wise.
Okay, so we are back to the main motion on the budget because Alderman Collins withdrew her motion? Okay, there we go, thank you. We don't need to. Okay, there we go. Alderman Robertson, go ahead.
It's withdrawn.
Till second reading. The budget is the greatest opportunity for this legislative body to express its desire and will in moving the city forward. It's been said that the mayor proposes and the legislative branch deposes, meaning that this is really our number one shot to shape the future of the city. We are guardians of the public treasure, and we can't make everyone happy. We do the best that we can with the resources that we've got. I always try to remind myself that this is not my money, but this is the public's money. And so I try to conduct my way, my interest in that way. I do want to mention a couple of points of interest before I have an amendment. I do have an amendment, but I want to take this opportunity. And before I do, I have Tamara, could you come? I have a question. And I see Ms. Locke is here as well. Back a few weeks ago, at the urging of the Public Works Committee, Ms. Locke provided a summary of the roads to be paved. And she, I think, masterfully broke them out into the operating budget and into PIP, the PIP fund. That's the half-cent increase that our citizens authorized us. And in that PIP itemization of roads to be paved, there was Calendar Lane. Calendar Lane was budgeted for the PIP for $200,000 to pave that road. Today, I contacted Tamara and asked her about this restricted fund balance of $1.5 million. And would you repeat how much of that balance is associated with Anderson, the Anderson development, Anderson Road, Anderson Park.
Just under $400,000.
400. So there is sufficient money in the per lot fee that Anderson Park is giving us to pay for the paving of Calendar Lane. Is that correct? And
Yes, sir.
so, Ms. Locke, that will put an additional $200,000 in paving. Is that correct? For more roads to be paved.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I just wanted that for the record because I saw that and I appreciate that. Thank you. That was easy, wasn't it? I do want to make a few points of interest on this budget. First of all, we're faced this budget or next budget with an increase of $1.7 million for trash services. We are adding no new positions. We are reducing the city's debt to under $10 million. We have initiated target spending for the $8.2 million in new monies from the 1/2 penny increase in state sales tax. Tamara, would you come up? If we didn't have the 1/2 penny increase, the 8.2, and assuming that we still wanted to pay for all of the things that the PIP fund is showing, paving, I think all of us support paving. I think all of us support fire and police vehicles, and that's 88% of the PIP fund right there. Mm-hmm. But what would we have to increase local property taxes to pay for those items in the PIP fund?
To come up with an equivalent amount of funding, it would be about 37% increase.
37%. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we've got targeted spending for the 4 items, so we are making good on the pledge that we made to our citizens. We have, this budget allocates $7.3 million for street paving. That is the largest appropriation that I can tell in the history of this city for paving. That's what the people want, and that's what we're delivering with help from the PIP. And it's already been mentioned that our fund balances are very healthy, and that's a sign of a healthy city. We also recognize the dedicated city employees and are providing them a 3% COLA raise plus a 2.5 step increase. We have in our funds more than double what the state comptroller requires. So I would think he would give us an A+ on our finances. In addition, reserves from the rainy day fund, infrastructure projects, and public safety amounts to almost $8 million. The city finances from this alderman's perspective are managed conservatively, and I thank the mayor for that. And they are based on the mayor's budget. Our city is in extremely healthy position. One of the things that I'm most proud of is this budget does not call for any increase in the property tax. For those that supported the half a penny increase in property tax, my promise as one alderman, and I'm only one meager vote.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
You meant half a penny increase in the sales tax.
Yes, half a penny increase in sales tax.
I typically wouldn't correct you, but that's a big one.
Thank you. That's a big one, yes. So I promised, and we're able to fulfill that in 1 year, no new property taxes. So we are properly funding our programs. We are conservatively budgeting. And so of the 4 years that I promised, we have met that goal of the first year, no property tax. So now for my amendment. Sorry to talk so much. My wife tells me I talk too much. But during the workshop, and I want to thank the staff for the budget workshops, they were very helpful, very insightful, and I learned a lot during those workshops. But in the workshop, it was shown that our police department was $2 million under budget, not over budget, under budget this year. I asked the question, why is $2 million under budget? And the answer was, we can't hire police officers. You know, the competition for police officers, the pay. Metro, I think, is it $75,000 that they pay for a starting police officer, around that range, Chief? So, and we're much lower than that. So while I appreciate, Mayor, what you and the staff are doing in raising the starting pay on police officers, I would like to propose an amendment that I have given the board due notice to initiate a $2,500 signing bonus for police officers. And that $2,500 is in addition to anything that's already offered. For example, if you're a certified officer, don't you get a certain bonus? So this would be on top of it. So $2,500, and I would like to limit that to put our present vacancy, I believe, during the workshop, it said was 10 officers. So I would like to limit that $2,500 to 10 officers, which would be $25,000 for bonuses. You know, we've got to keep this city safe. Our police department does a magnificent job in keeping our city safe, but I want to make sure that our ranks are full, that we have sufficient police officers. Mayor, I would propose, I have a way to fund it. I would propose that we would fund that one-time expenditure. This is not a reoccurring expenditure, but that one-time expenditure for the incentives would be funded from the unassigned fund balance. And that, again, that would be $25,000, $2,500. So is that motion clear?
I think so. I need Tamara to look up and tell me what line item, but so the surplus wouldn't change because we would be using money essentially from savings to do that since it's one time.
That's right. It's a one-time, so it's not recurring. Okay. So that would reduce the 23 million number.
Gotcha. It wouldn't reduce the 102,000.
No,
which has
it
since been
would.
reduced to 85.
I don't want to reduce it unless we just have to.
Okay. Tamara, where's the best place to? Excuse me, Tamara. Where's the best place?
Yes.
Page 56.
Yes.
Chief Jones, do you know the answer to that one?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the page. It will be on page 56.
Okay.
On page 56, it would be added to line 1. It would just be under salaries and benefits.
And we would add, correct me if I'm wrong, please, Alderman Robertson, we would add $25,000?
Yes, for the purpose of a one-time bonus.
Okay. So we would take that $11,540,000 and add $25,000, which I think is going to be $11,790,000. No.
No. 11,565,000.
Thank you. I should not do math on TV. So, page 56, line 1, where the column where it says FY 2025 budget, change that from 11,540,000 to 11,565,000. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Goodwin. Tamara, is all this making sense? You're keeping up with us?
Yes.
Okay. You keeping up with us in that? Okay. Alderman Robertson, anything else on this one?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to Alderman Sassy on this amendment. Okay. Alderman Collins on this amendment?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
I don't know, Jason Gallo isn't here tonight, is he? He is somewhere around here.
He's
I
coming.
would, my first question is for either Jesse or Chief Jones, whoever can best answer. When is the last time that our police department has been fully staffed? Does anybody know?
The last time that they were fully staffed, I can tell you in my 2 years here that that has never been the case. So that would predate me.
Chief Jones?
Chief Jones, any idea?
You got to come up here, please.
I don't have an exact date. It's been several years since we've.
So basically, we can't remember. It's been so long ago that we don't know.
It varies. It goes up and down, and then we'll have somebody retire, we'll have somebody leave and go to another agency, and then, we're constantly in the process of hiring. And some of that was new positions that were authorized, so it does change.
Okay. Chief Jones, before you step away, do you anticipate any negative reaction from existing officers when new officers receive a bonus and they don't? Is that going to be a problem with within the culture of your organization?
I don't believe so. We didn't meet any resistance offering the $2,500 or $2,000 certification bonus for officers that came from other locations that were previously certified. It's just one of those things. The reality is, I think our folks would like to get those positions filled to have some help on the shifts. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know, so I need to ask you. And so then, my next question is for Mr. Gallows. From a human resource perspective, can you talk about the effectiveness of signing bonuses for people at this level of pay? Is this the most effective tool? What tools are used? How effective are they?
Sure. Sign-on bonuses are an effective tool, but they are ones that you have to understand are not always going to have a long-term effect. They typically, when someone does a sign-on bonus, they'll sign a contract to say, I'll work with the agency for, let's say, 3 years. So they'll commit to the 3 years, and at the end of that 3 years, they may decide to stay. That may be long enough for them to see our culture, for them to kind of find that they're in a groove. Other times, they may want to leave. And after the 3-year mark that they've served it and they don't have to pay it back, that may be what they choose to do. It's used often in healthcare, which is what I'm familiar with. And I can tell you that what we saw was about a 50% stay rate after that was all done, after they served their contract periods. But it is effective. To Chief Jones's point, if you're trying to get people in to do the work, that's one thing, but I know to be post-certified takes time.
And do you pay it all, you don't pay it the very first day they start, you pay it in increments?
Generally I don't recommend paying it all up front. There's not a reason to stay.
Right.
So in those, what I have seen that's most effective is you pay a portion of it when they start, maybe a portion when they complete their probation, and then a portion at the end of the contract, or let's say 1 full year.
And this is a budget ordinance, so we wouldn't include those kinds of stipulations in this
I don't think so.
portion
I'm
of
gonna
it.
defer to Jesse on that.
I'd hope not, but go ahead, Jesse.
No, I mean, I don't think we would, but I was just wondering what kind of like, does the staff have the authority to just do those kinds of things and make sure there's a contract in place, or do we need an ordinance to establish that as a policy, or,
So the budget would just approve the availability for us to spend that money.
so we need to follow up with an
Yeah,
ordinance?
we'd follow up with a policy just to outline it, and I'm sure we'd bring it to the board and say, this is how we outline to do it, how we pay. And like Jason was saying, it would probably behoove us to put a time period on that, so we, if the employee leaves, if they get $2,500 and they leave, then, there's some share that they have to return if that employee leaves before they fulfill a term that they're obligated to. So we'd come back with a policy that kind of outlines how that works.
Okay, and then for Mr. Gallows, is this the most effective tool? And if it is, what's the second most effective tool? I just want to have a better understanding of from the HR perspective, what
Sure,
the
I mean,
tools are and how they're used.
When you're looking at what tools you can put out to, attract and retain, salary is always going to be the first and foremost, right? And I know there's been extensive discussions, so I'm not going to belabor any of those points. This does help. The financial incentive becomes one of those. Benefits would be another. Time off would be another. Quite honestly, there are the intangibles, like the culture that they're walking into, right? Those are the things we don't put a dollar value on, but go a long way, and honestly will outweigh some of the other pieces I just mentioned. So culture is a huge piece to that, but I would say if it's what the younger generation, if you will, are looking for, they're looking for a dollar amount. That's where we start, and then getting them in the door and getting them familiar with our culture is often what will keep them.
Thank you.
Yep. Alderman Collins, anything else?
No.
Thank you. Hey, Tamara, we do need to mention where the money is coming from. So do we need to go to page 26 and change the very last figure on the bottom right-hand side of that, or do we need to go somewhere else?
I mean, typically you wouldn't dip into your unassigned fund balance unless you were going into a deficit position, but that will actually, overall, just by reducing that or adding that expenditure, it will automatically decrease our unassigned fund balance or increase our use of unassigned fund balance on the total budget. So that will happen naturally as we make that adjustment.
Okay. Do we need to change the motion at all, or is that just understood that?
I mean, we could say,
$2,430,000 in 247.
yeah, and I don't know that that's necessary to do that. That will just be updated as part of the line item budget, because that would also have impacted the paramedic pay as well, because that will change the use of fund balance as well.
And if we change that answer, we can come back in 2 weeks and fix it.
Yeah, any adjustments to that will be using, any adjustments we're making at this point will be using the unassigned fund balance.
I apologize.
Or increasing that use, yeah.
I apologize for making that muddy. Alderman Sassy, are you on the amendment? No, okay. Alderman Peterson on the amendment? Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor, I think so. I have a question about the unassigned fund balance, and I believe that's
Definitely for Tamara.
Alderman Robertson wants to pull the sign-on bonuses from that fund. Is that correct? And there's 23 million in there currently.
Yes, sir.
That's more than the 16% required by the comptroller's office.
More than double what's recommended.
Why?
That's not really a question for Tamara, it's a question for this board. That's what the board has intended to do, agreeing with the policy that was brought to us about a year and a half ago on saving money and how we should sort of pre-appropriate that money that we do save.
But this is separate from the rainy day fund, correct? I just wondered why. I totally understand 16% as a benchmark. I don't understand why we have so much extra in there when we can be using that for other.
So part of that is that we have had, at the end of the year, we always have surplus at the end of the year. Typically, we have surplus at the end of the year. Because we typically spend about 96% of what we budgeted, and we typically bring in 100 to 102% of what we anticipate our revenue. One of the areas that we didn't spend as much for the budget is salaries, and one of those areas, the department that had the most savings in salaries was police. So we just don't spend as much as we anticipate, and we bring in more revenue than we anticipate, and that's the way our rainy day fund gets built up, and our general fund gets built up.
And our unassigned fund balance.
Exactly. We used to not have that problem.
Now we have a lot of, I just would like to see, you know, we still 10 million in debt. We're paying that down. We have a lot of money in the rainy day fund, now 23 million in the unassigned fund balance. I would just like to see that money put to work instead of just saving it.
Yeah. So one of the budget workshops, Alderman Robertson and I got in conversation about the Capital Projects Committee, looking at what are our high priorities. Jesse, Alderman Robertson, Alderman Skidmore have looked at what are some capital projects that we want to tackle soon, and we'll be coming back to you with those soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Any other comments, questions about this amendment? Okay, we'll do this electronically. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. So what we have is an amendment to increase expenses by $25,000 to give bonuses to up to 10 vacant police department positions, and that money will come from the savings in the general fund. All those in favor, press your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes unanimously. Alderman Robertson, I'll come back to you in just a minute, but Alderman Dixon, did you have a motion?
Yes, I move that we take a 15-minute break.
So we have a motion to take a 15-minute break and a second from Alderman Sassy. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. We'll be back. Okay. We're back. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So reviewing the budget, I noticed that there's some changes made because of the PIP. The police, I mentioned this to y'all before, and also offered you a sheet to kind of break this down on what I'm proposing here. Essentially, I feel like in order to be fiscally responsible as a city, especially with the potential for changes at the county level that could potentially impact our PIP over the next few years, I think it makes sense to maintain some level of expenditure in our general fund for our police cars. Currently, the way we have it set up is that 100% of the police cars that we're planning to purchase for the next fiscal year are in the PIP fund. My suggestion honestly does not change the operation of or the execution of the monies and how it's being allotted. It's just moving them into different categories, different buckets. So I'm proposing, instead of in the PIP, line 4 on there, that's page 81, as me and Alderman Garza found out during the break, but in changing it from 950,000 to 475, and that 475 we're taking out of that, we're putting it back into the police line number 47, and that's where we usually spend. That's the line we usually allot for police car expenditures. Now, how do we pay for that? We pay for that with the paving. So instead of having all the paving in the public, or we're going to take that front money from the public works paving and put it back into the PIP. So the PIP washes. It would be the same dollar amount, and it would increase the paving and reduce the police car expenditure, and then the police line would increase and the public works line would decrease. So the expenditures stay the same. And that's my amendment.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderman Martin. Alderman Goodwin, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on his amendment. I think it should stay in the PIP because that shows the citizens, especially the ones that voted for a sales tax increase, exactly what we're doing with their money. So I will have to vote no for his amendment.
Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Anybody else? Jason, you ready for us? Okay. So what you've got, what you had in front of you on the screen is the same thing that you have that we handed out before the meeting. Looks just like this, and this is what we're voting on. So all those in favor, press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. So that fails 3-9. Hold on, Jason. Voting in favor: Alderman Skidmore, Martin, Sassy. Opposed: Alderman Peterson, Garza, Dixon, Goodwin, Garten, Collins, Waters, Robertson, and myself. Alderman Sassy. Anything else?
That's all.
Thank you. We're back to the main motion on the budget. Any other discussion on the budget? So we have two amendments. One was paramedic pay, and the other one was pay for to fill the vacancies in our police department. Right now, we have a surplus of $85,617, and again, I anticipate that to get lower when I come back to you in 2 weeks. Any other discussion? We'll do electronically. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2024-8, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. So that passed 11-1. The one voting opposed, Alderman Sassy. Those in favor: Alderman Skidmore, Peterson, Martin, Garza, Dixon, Goodwin, Garten, Collins, Waters, Robertson, and in favor, and also myself in favor. So now we move on to, thank you all. Now we move on to first reading resolution 2024-10, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of 1/2 ownership interest in the library to Sumner County. I so move. Do I have a second? We have a second from Alderman Dixon. Alderman Collins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Clary. I well, actually Lance did me a favor and emailed all of you, and then you should have on your desk the amendment that I'd like to make, which replaces.
There you go.
Sorry, it replaces the deed that's currently listed with the ordinance with this new quitclaim deed, and the bold part is the change. I don't think it's necessary for me to read that. Just to say that my aim here is originally when this land was donated and the money was raised for the library and donated to the city with a little bit of a contribution from the county, there was a restriction on the deed for the property that said if it wasn't used as a library, it would revert back to an LLC, which my understanding is no longer exists. So what I'm looking to do is just to restore those protections for the citizens. And so I guess I don't know how to, I would like to amend to replace the current deed in the ordinance with this revised deed that Lance has helped me come up with.
So Lance, is the best thing to do, would it be to add that text on page 118, where it says there too, and just add the text that's in bold in front of us?
Yes, that'd be the best way to do it.
Okay. Alderman Collins, do you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. So the bold text that you see in front of you and that you have on the sheet of paper, we will insert that on page 118 after there too and before in. So any questions on that? Oh, do we have a second? We have a second from Alderman Garza. Any questions on this? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion. Thank you, Alderman Collins.
Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just trying to get a little history about why we're doing this, how far it's gone through the county. Does the county anticipate that we're doing this tonight? Where are we?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
The quitclaim deed originated from the county. They prepared this quitclaim deed before it was amended, except for the amendment. As some discussions about how do we handle current and future maintenance costs. And so I do not know that, and I doubt that they are aware of this particular change to it. They would have to accept it. They could reject the quitclaim deed, and I anticipate that we would send it to them before executed to determine that. But I know the county attorney actually sent me the quitclaim deed, but
okay.
I don't know that I nor he could speak for what the county commission would ultimately do.
So it hasn't gone to committee in any place in the county, any committee?
I haven't heard of it. I don't know that for sure.
Do you know that, Mayor?
I don't. Excuse me, I know they talked about, I think it's the General Operations Committee, but I don't think it's gone past that.
Okay. Would we still have the obligation to pay them the $50,000 to $70,000 a year?
We don't actually have that obligation right now. So that wouldn't be part of the obligation with this change either.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that, Alderman Dixon. Alderman Skidmore.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. I don't know the details on, and this is only first reading, and so, you know, we've got one more reading to go to and some time to think about it. But I don't know. I was looking down at my colleagues on this board, and I think maybe Alderman Jim Waters and I were probably the only aldermen that were on the board at the time. But and speaking some of the aldermen about this issue that we're talking about, I have to remember that there was an organization at one time that really helped us with this library, and I think it was called Foils or some kind of, I can't recall if that's what it was called, but it was something like that. And it was a group of folks which I supported during the time because they were, when it was a very, I guess my point is they brought a lot of money into to make the library what it is today. They really did. I won't really ever forget that, although I was going, oh yeah, I do remember them, but tonight, but after thinking about that, they really went above and beyond what was worth it. I'm just wondering how, how those folks would feel about if we took that library away, because it was our library, it was Hendersonville's. There was a feeling to it that it was ours. It wasn't anybody else, although the county does do things for it. That's not in dispute. But I'm just wondering, if there would have been a new library if it hadn't been for those guys. And I mean men and women. I'm just using guys, like that. But because it was a lot of people together, and I'm just wondering if they know about it, okay, or if they have a feeling. They may not. They may just say, hey, it's going to go to the library. But we were instrumental in bringing that library to Hendersonville.
We have two of their leaders here.
Where?
Right here.
We do? Yeah. Oh, yes, hey. Okay, yeah, that's right. I shook your hand tonight. I'm sorry. How are you doing? I would like to suspend the rules and talk to them about it.
Without objection? Okay. Please introduce yourselves and tell us your connection here. But you have to come up here to the microphone. We need you up here.
You all have to.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Tim, how are you? I hadn't
You're
seen
very
you in
good.
a while.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to see
I'm
you.
Tim Takis, 1531 Anderson Road, Hendersonville. The organization was Friends of the Arts and Literature of Sumner.
Yes,
Foles.
Foles.
And I think that was, I believe it was formed in 2001, 2002. It was a 501c3 organization that raised money for the library. Your recollection is good because essentially what we did was we came to the city, we came to the county and said, well, we'll come up with 1/3, or Foles and I guess the people.
Yes.
We'll call the people. We'll come up with 1/3 of the library funds if the county and the city would then put up the other thirds. So I think we came up with, I think it was about a $10 million project, and we raised around $3 million, something. We got $900,000 from the Memorial Foundation, and certainly the county and the city came up with their thirds, and the project was built. Yeah. And dedication was 2008, was it, Phil, I think? Something like that. Yeah. So, if you go over there, there's a plaque there and have everything else. The original library was the Martin R. Curtis Senior Hendersonville Public Library. And of course now it's the Hendersonville Library. So that's kind of where we are. So we just recently found out about this proposal, I think within the last about 3 or 4 days.
Are you familiar with the quit claim deed that we were talking about tonight about using the using the library if it?
I did see the reverter because Alderman Collins shared that with me and others. So we have seen that, which is certainly acceptable to us. I think from our point of view, of course, we have no legal standing here other than, we raised the funds or helped raise the funds, and those funds became now basically the city and the city and the county. The city and county own the property. We just want to see it continue as a library.
Okay. Yeah.
And if it does not, I think a lot of people will be disappointed.
Well, I think
If, at the very least.
yeah, I was going to say, well, you're being very
Yes.
nice on that. You'd see fires burning in.
Yeah, I'm leaving my lawyer hat off, okay, so, but I understand, where you're coming from.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you very much for coming. It's good to see you. I appreciate the things that you say, because it is a concern, because I do remember, it was one thing, and during those times, it was, and I was part of it, I admit.
Yeah.
There was some turmoil going on in the city of Hendersonville. It was just one of those things. But it did bring our city together. It was even the ones that were on one side of politics and the other, but everybody had a main concern about that library, that wanted to get it built. Now, I remember Miss Skidmore was on, my mother, Jo, was on the board, and she was really adamant about it as well as I was. Because I know times have changed so much now. There's the internet, the computers, and all that. But I bet and I remember this, and then I'll close with this. And I'm sorry for going down memory lane here, but I bet that if you went into Kroger's tonight and asked a young person walking down the aisle there if they knew what the Dewey Decimal System was, they would not know. I guarantee it, because things have changed so much. I feel comfortable with this quit claim deed because I don't want us to ever lose that library, because it just means so much. Me personally, yes, but I think to the city that we have that library there, and the things that you guys went through to do it. It's sort of if we didn't, if we just gave it back to them without any hold on that, it's like a slap in y'all's face, really, because and it would be a slap in my face of that old board that was sitting where we are now, that supported your endeavor as well as our endeavor to try to raise the money too through tax to our budgets. So thank you, Mayor, for bringing that out, and I really apologize that I didn't remember. I didn't know you were a board member, but I remember you were instrumental in it. And I thank you all for coming forward tonight and talking about it, because I think I remember it very fondly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. I think what you said, I agree with 100%. Their impact, and honestly, Tim and Phil, I should have called y'all a couple months ago, and I apologize for that. I appreciate Alderman Collins putting this together to make sure that there's a reverter clause in there that you said is acceptable to y'all. Where I'm coming from is, for years I've been trying to find a way to get our library open more than 40 hours a week, and this is headed that direction. We've had money set aside from the city to do that. Tim, go ahead.
I think one of our main concerns is that we want a first-class, world-class library, and that's not opening the library one day a week. And I think, like you said, is that we'd like to see it open and fully funded in the way that it should be. Which should comport with. I mean, Hendersonville is people come from all over the world to visit here. And we should have a library that meets their expectation.
And currently our library is open 40 hours a week. We have sought for a couple of years to get it to 48. Gallatin is open 44. I'll just throw that out there. I appreciate that. Let's go to Alderman Robertson.
And I have just a couple of quick questions to either to you, Mayor, or Lance, or our speaker. First of all, with the 50-50, that means 50-50 between the responsibility of the city and county. Has that percentage caused disputes with the county on expenses over the years?
Yes, it has. The way that the county resolution was written in regards to maintenance responsibilities, it indicated that the library would be on the books of the counties because it can't be on both books per the comptroller. But so it's on the books of the county. The city and the county each own an undivided 1/2 interest, and the city is responsible for routine maintenance. So it has come quite often to what the definition of routine maintenance is, and whether or not routine maintenance actually, or the lack of routine maintenance, might have caused more major maintenance. And since I've been here, which has been about a year, there's been about, I think, 3 items that have had a lot of discussion and maybe debate.
Yeah, my grandmother used to say anything with more than one head belongs in a circus, you know, and it sure looks like with a 50-50 split that, you know, the library's got 2 heads. So again, to any of the 3 parties that I mentioned, are there any anticipated closings or changes to the operation of the library if this goes through?
I haven't heard any from any county commissioners or any county staff, and I take them at their word.
Okay. And will we continue to support the extra day that the library's open, or will it, with this change, will it go backwards?
Not only we will support it more wholeheartedly than we have in the past.
That's good. That's good. So we'll continue to be a leader. Now, what about a seat on the library board? Do we presently have a seat on a city resident on the library board? That's the governing body, isn't it?
We asked to include that as one of the conditions, and we were told that they couldn't make that a condition without changing some of their policies and some of their code. But the county would certainly come to us with advice when it came time to appoint somebody to the library board, and they have done that in the past.
Okay. Well, for sure, a number of county commissioners reside in the city and represent city citizens, so I would hope that we would. And other cities now, in other cities, the county has complete jurisdiction, like Gallatin. They have, does the city of Gallatin contribute to the library? I mean, do they have this 50-50 arrangement?
My understanding is every city that has a county library contributes some at different amounts.
Okay.
You want to add something?
And
hold on.
I think he's asking about the ownership. And I know that Portland, the city of Portland,
that's the only one.
owns its library, but I've heard, I haven't confirmed that the rest of the cities in the county are wholly owned by the county.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a county responsibility. I mean, they have, just like ambulance services, that's their responsibility.
Very good analogy.
Okay. And are there any certifications of libraries? Are there national certifications? Does anybody know? And is the Hendersonville Library attained that certification? You know?
Fel, you got to come up here. You tried to avoid it, but.
Tried to avoid it.
So this is Fel Merwin, also.
Fel Merwin, 150 Hunters Lane, Hendersonville. There are state requirements for the library. They're based on the population. At the time we opened the library, I believe that to meet full state certification, we needed to be open the 48 hours. I think we're now past that.
That's good news.
Okay, so we should be certified.
There are book stock requirements. There are hours of service requirements, other things like that, that are based on population.
And we can
service.
And we can ensure, this board can ensure that we meet that certification on the hours opened.
That would be nice
we are
to
now.
do. That would be the sort of thing I would love to see in this, is some sort of guarantees that it continues to be a library and that it'll meet the state minimum requirements.
Well, and I think the mayor and staff can monitor that, and if the library does take actions to reduce the hours, then we need to step up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my preference. So with that, Mayor, that's all I've got.
Okay. I appreciate it, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Martin.
I just want to thank you guys for you doing what you did to bring the library about. I love it. My kids love it. I've lived here about 7 years, and it's been a big part of our lives, so thank you.
Thank you. It was an interesting start to it because it actually started with the Chamber of Commerce, who financed something to see whether an arts and or there, what kinds of things were needed in the community. And what came out of that was that what the community wanted more than anything else was a library. And that was the beginning of Foles. So
nice.
And actually, there's been a library, I think, in Hendersonville since like maybe 1917.
They're enacting.
There's a book.
And then there, but I think the
history.
Shit, I don't know. But I know that back in where Old Town is, and I don't know what the building is now. Where where the building is, where the old library now.
Yes. What?
It's the senior center, isn't it?
No. It's the.
Okay.
Yes.
But what is?
Center.
Samaritan Center. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So the Samaritan Center is the old library. Right, and that was, and the library was too small for the city. It was, that.
It didn't meet any of the state standards at that point.
Right.
It was just Hendersonville, man.
Yeah. Right.
Good times.
Thank you. Alderman Martin, anything else?
I do have a question. I love the amendment because it gives us a piece of control, and I hope the county goes and receives it favorably. I did have a question on the maintenance. I know that there was an elevator and the AC and stuff like that, and maybe this is a good solution for it. I did have a question on the 50,000 or 20,000. It sounds like that's not a requirement from the state or any other agency that we pay that, or is that voluntary, or how does that work?
So I've always put it in my budgets because they have a requirement to have a maintenance effort. Where they are, the state requires that they stay at that level. And I feel like we certainly get a huge service from the county because of that. And so I have never asked the city to cut spending from the 50,000 that was there when I came in. Instead, I've asked that we add 20,000 as really a contingency, really as an incentive, so that if they ever increase those hours. I don't want to give the 70,000 and not get something additional for it. And so we've had that 20,000 for at least 2024 and 2023 budgets. Unfortunately, has never been taken advantage of.
Okay. That's it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Martin. I appreciate that. Some of you heard me make a joke about a book written on the history of Hendersonville. If there's anybody that would know about how long there's been a library in Hendersonville, it would be that man right there. And we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, Alderman Skidmore.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to respond to my colleague, Alderman Roberson, my distinguished colleague from Ward 6. We do have one, I don't know if, it would be considered a representative or not on the library board, but one of our astute members of the county commission is a member of Hendersonville. They are a member of the library board, and that's our commissioner from the 19th district. They are a member of it. So I do know we have one person from Hendersonville on that. Yeah.
Alderman Skidmore, you jogged my memory. Actually, the chairman right now for the library board is from Hendersonville also, so we have at least two then.
Okay, two. Good.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Who is that? Alderman Goodwin.
I've had a couple of questions from constituents on the library. Can you tell me how it would change their concern that Hendersonville would lose all control? How much control do we have now over the library? Do we have any say other than donating money and paying for some maintenance? What can we, if we vote to give this back to the county, how can we assure those people that we're still going to have a library and it's going to be here other than the quit claim deed?
So in reality, as hard as it is for me to admit, we have no control over the library. And I'll give you a great example. It was a couple weeks ago, because the staff is county employees, the county mayor decided to close the library. He didn't call me and ask me my opinion, and I may have agreed with him, but he didn't have to because he's the one who employs the staff. And so we can have a county, we can have a library that's 50/50 ours or 100% ours, but if the staff is hired and employed by somebody else and compensated by somebody else, staff doesn't show up, you don't have a library. And so we really do not have any control over it.
So we're safe to tell the constituents that nothing should change.
Nothing should change.
And that we have if they accept the quit claim deed, that building has got to be there for a library.
So the only thing that I think should change is that maintenance should be addressed sooner and more quickly.
Because they would be responsible for 100% of it.
Yep.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Any other comments, any other discussion? Do you need to add something, Lance? Okay, so we're back to the main motion. We had one amendment, am I correct on that?
Yes.
And that passed unanimously. Tim and Phil, thank you so much, and Jim, thank you for your comments as well. We are at first reading of ordinance 2024-10. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. We have one no, and that's from Alderman Sassy. Did I miss anybody? No. Oh, Alderman Waters. So we have two no's, is that correct? So that would have passed 10-2 with the people voting no, Alderman Waters and Alderman Sassy, and the rest of us voting in favor. Do I have that correct? Okay. Earlier, I misspoke when we passed the budget. Just before we passed the budget, I said that we had two amendments. We'd actually had three. As I had the amendment that we started off with, clarifying that we would not include the tax rate in there. So I don't think that affects how any of you all voted, especially since that amendment passed unanimously. Now we're on to Resolution 2024-20. This is a resolution reappointing the city's representative to the Sumner County Board of Equalization. We have a motion from Alderman Robertson and a second from Alderman Peterson. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Now we're on to other agenda items, which is the vote on the appointment of Ron Zellum to the Historic Zoning Commission. We have a motion from Alderman Sassy and a second from Alderman Martin. Any discussion on that item? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to brief committee reports. Chairman Dixon, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Our Finance Committee met this evening, and we had one ordinance and one resolution. We reviewed voted on the ordinance 2024-11, an ordinance to decrease the local option sales tax rate on the purchase of groceries from 2.75% to 2.25% within the corporate limits of Hendersonville. That passed unanimously and will come to the board next meeting. Then we had Resolution 2024, resolution adopting a 457B. It's an employee deferred compensation plan and trust resolution and participating employer agreement. That passed unanimously and will come to the board. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Dixon. Next we have Public Works. Chairman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to keep this short tonight. This one's been one of the shortest budget first readings I've been through, and I'm very grateful for that. Good job, city staff, for that, and good job, Alderman, as well. We had several resolutions this evening, and one was a dedication of accepting the dedication of the Durham Farms streets. It was passed unanimously. That'll come back here. The other one was North Parish Place. That'll come back to us as well for a vote. And then we had a reading of, for our Parks Department, for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Grant. We've been, unfortunately, we hadn't done well with that grant, but we're going to keep trying every year, and so we voted to pass it again to see if we can't get that grant. And then the other is the our stormwater maintenance resolution, developing policies for us, and that was passed unanimously as well as a resolution. And our final thing is, I do want to let you know, we're going to entertain this again at our next meeting in June, which is not on the 26th. We're not really sure when. We haven't a confirmed date on the June meeting yet. But it's about residential speed limits. And so about maybe possibly lowering them, because I'm not going to say that Hendersonville, we've got a speeding epidemic, because I don't want to scare people in Hendersonville, but sometimes we like to drive a little faster than we should, and that's including me. So we gotta lower it down a little bit and watch out on how we go into these streets and pay more attention to what we're doing. So we're going to talk about our residential speed limits at our next meeting in terms of lowering them and to what. We're not really sure. We have an idea of what it's going to be. Alderman Roberson brought this up to this issue in our Public Works Committee, which I'm very grateful for, because it's one that we, everybody that's either been on this board or obviously lives in here is we do go in our residential area where there's children at play and things like that, and we drive a little too fast sometimes. And so we want to look into this and see if we can't get something lower for safety reasons. And so I'll be coming back to you with that. That's all, Mayor, and thank you for that opportunity.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Next, we have a report from our COO, Jesse.
The report's in your packet. You can look through that. 3 announcements I want to make tonight. One is that Andy and Trevor with Parks Department have been working very hard. We hopefully will have Mary's Magical Place open by the end of the week. So that's exciting. Next BOMA meeting, we'll have a presentation, video, and some social media that'll be ready for Deer. So be on the lookout for that. Casey's been working hard on that. Deer Committee's been working hard on that. So we'll have some time set aside at the next meeting. And then lastly, I don't know if folks have noticed that there's a little less traffic in town. It may be because the signal sync timing has been implemented on Main, Indian, and New Shackle. So if you're driving through town and it's been 5 times in a row and I've gotten lucky on Main or Indian because you're hitting green lights, that is the start of the signal sync program working. So at first I thought it was a fluke when I hit a bunch of green lights, but people have said there just seems to be less traffic in town, and that's because the cars aren't sitting at the intersection. So Public Works has worked hard on getting that done. As we go through the process, we will start to implement more equipment out there, which will improve the way that the corridors work. So we should continue to see more improvement. So it's been a pleasant surprise to drive through Hendersonville and hit 5 or 6 green lights in a row. So it's not that there's necessarily less traffic. It's that on those corridors, again, that's New Shackle, Indian, and Main, we have some signal timing that's been implemented. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Jesse, could you hold on 1 second? Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, I've got 2 comments. One, I want to commend the Parks Department. I attended the Isaacs concert Monday. It was fabulous. It was the best one yet, and I just want to thank the parks. It was wet, but in the mud and the blood and beer, we had a concert. So I thank the Parks Department for that. The second thing I want to mention is our fire department. We've had a couple of house fires recently. One, I know in Ward 6 that there were some children involved. And Chief Bush, could you come up just a second and give us a report? I really appreciate. I saw his report on that and how many engines responded to that fire. They called the cavalry out. They were all there, and I appreciate the efforts. But just give us a report on that situation.
Yes, sir. So they've been very busy. We had another one today, and I think Ward 2 maybe, or 3, Ward 3. I'm sorry, Ward 4, off of Bonita Parkway. But anyway, the one you're talking about on South Birchwood, there was, everybody at the house was under 13 and under. They all 3 suffered from smoke inhalation injuries. They were transported to Vandy and they were released later that night. But staff did a really good job. There's some underlying issues there that we're working through with the state. And then the house fire on Coursey Boulevard, we had some outside resources come in to do an investigation there with us, and we're still waiting for that to close out as well. As I was speaking to the right-hand side at the break, We've also had a rash of boating accidents and motorcycle accidents. For whatever reason, the last couple of weeks, we rescued 6 people from Wilson County over the Memorial Day weekend that were trapped in a boat. We rescued them, brought them and their boat back right before the storm hit last time on Sunday night. And then yesterday or last night, you saw where they had the accident where the boat overturned right at the dam on the Old Hickory side. And then we've had other rash of incidents. We had a near drowning with a 6-year-old. I just want to get the message out for folks in TV land. Watch out for motorcyclists, and also if you're on the water enjoying the 26.2 miles of lake frontage that we have, please wear PFDs, wear your life jackets, and use your boats wisely and safely.
Yeah, that the lake does bring a kind of a unique feature to our emergency services. And I believe that we have approved the purchase of some new motors, haven't we, for our boats?
Yes, sir.
In the PIP fund?
We're functioning on one of them right now, just one. So we're trying to get through the rest of June, and then hopefully we'll get those things bought pretty early in July and be up to where we need to be with the boat.
Just, I want to extend the fire department my appreciation, mine and Jim's appreciation for the hard work they did in Ward 6 on that. Could have been a disaster, and I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Alderman Robertson, were you going to make a motion? Make a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second from Alderman Goodwin. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That's unanimous. Thank you all.